I was wondering if it was gonna change the orientation. Let's see. Mm, I'm not sure. We'll see what happens after I upload this shit to the internet. But what's good, man? What's good, family? Shanann in the West trying to get this phone to sit up somewhere where it's nice and flattering. You know, them shadows and that lighting is very important, and also a motherfucker for the same reason. Oh shit, hold on, somebody's at the door.
I have my key.
Okay. Thank you, sir.
It's delicious too. I bullshit you.
I believe it. I'll let you know. Y'all got more stuff to do here, or should I start cleaning it up already?
I think you can if you so choose. Yeah.
But there's no more sanding or nothing like that that's gonna happen. Y'all just painting from now on, right?
No, we gotta paint and stuff like that. I might have to sand just a little bit.
All right.
But first you're supposed to come back for one more touch.
All right. Well, I'll just leave it how it is then.
All right, cool.
All right. I got the meal delivery. My dad Shorty made some food. I had already eaten though, so it'll be good leftovers for tomorrow. If you want to know what I was talking about, I don't know if I've ever showed you this before, but before this wooden beam was up here, it was just a regular support beam that was up there. But you see how thick this one was? The last one that was up there was maybe like a quarter of that size. And it used to be a whole wall right here that was taken out when my pops first moved in. And because he took that supporting wall out, the motherfucking floor started to cave in and decoupled from one of the walls up there. And yeah, so that shit needed to be fixed because don't nobody got time for a whole ass house caving in. You know what I mean? So it's looking real rough right now. It's looking real rough, but we got this shit done. You know what I mean? On a budget. You heard? You gotta do what you gotta do. I would have much preferred having professionals come take care of that. But yeah. We were blessed. MB, what's good? Little Queen, what up, what up? Thank you for reminding people to like the live. Wow, 13 in 3 minutes is a first. I don't think I've ever gotten 13 likes in 3 minutes. But so yeah, I appreciate the reminder, Little Queen. What's up, Mrs. Clayton? Do it yourself, baby. Yes, sir. So yeah, we gotta sand that compound down. And unfortunately we're gonna paint it probably that yellow. I would have appreciated the opportunity to change the color of the yellow. But probably not gonna happen this time. Maybe sometime in the future. Also, with that being said, another reason why I'm not super tripping about how DIY it looks is because I myself plan to be moving within a couple of months. So I'm not mentally invested in it like that. At some point though, a lot of shit gotta get done. Like the floors gotta get redone, the ceilings gotta get done, a lot of drywall, a lot of paint. The bathroom gotta be renovated. And towards that end, last month I started looking into something called a HELOC loan, which is a home equity loan. Since I own this home, pause. Since we own this home outright, meaning we don't pay a mortgage because the house is fully paid off. I figured like it would be wise to go get a HELOC loan because we can use that money to renovate the house, increase the value, da 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 da. Going on to do that shit, I realized that they won't give you one of those loans unless you have home insurance. And unfortunately, we don't. I don't think we've ever had home insurance on this bitch. So that plan is kind of dead in the water. But, we'll see what happens. Maybe there's a way I can, like, get some home insurance and then go reapply for the loan, which I know I'll go get it. You know what I mean? And we take it from there. But things are happening. You know what I mean? Lunar Light Priestess was good. Stacy Brooks, what up? Um, what else? I guess that is a good segue into why I titled this live "Mad Annoying." Wow, two people took back. I don't know what to say. How did I go from 13 to 11? Now we up on 14. Anyway, I'm not even paying attention to that shit. Um, the reason why I wanted to talk about the subject of being very annoyed to being perturbed is because there's a lot of shit that I've been annoyed at lately, and I think at this point in my life, I'm 40 years old. You know what I'm saying? I've really mastered the art of turning negative thought into beneficial thought. Because it's not necessarily turning the negative into the positive. Like the negative is still very negative, but let's try to reframe, and that's what I'm gonna talk to you about in the next few minutes before I let you go. Is reframing anything that you experience negative, especially when it's at the behest of another individual. Because sometimes, we get mad at ourselves because of dumb shit that we did. And with that, I'm not that's not the conversation we're about to have right now. There is a way that you definitely can switch even that part of your negative emotions, negative thoughts, negative experiences that are behest because of you. There's a way to turn those around, but we're going to be specifically talking about how circumstance at the behest of other individuals, which we feel like is fucking our shit up, how we can turn that around always into something positive. And the way to do that is the cliche, of course: breathe first. You want to get your breath right. If you're not properly oxygenating your body, or you're taking shallow breaths, it's easy to stay in a state of anxiety and anger, sadness, whatever whatever it is you perceive as negative. To me, anger, sadness, uh, and anxiety are negative emotions to me. But negative in a sense that they're signaling something that I don't want to be happening right now. And when you get to a point where you're like, oh, I don't want this. I don't want to be experiencing this emotion. I don't like this train of thought that I'm having. Don't necessarily like this physical circumstance that I am in my environment. The way to turn that around is to acknowledge all of those things as a reality. You don't I know we get into this habitual like delusionary thinking because that's what people tell us we should do, and I'm not advocating for that at all. I'm actually about to tell you how to keep it a buck with yourself, keep it authentic instead of being delulu and telling yourself, oh, even though the room is on fire, I'm sitting right in the middle of it, and this is fine. So you want to accept whatever negativity that you're feeling. Remind yourself that it's valid. Remind yourself that you've been through shit like this before and you're still here. You might not be happy in this moment, but after you've experienced negative events, emotions, thoughts in the past, you've always, after that, come out with some type of a positive feeling. You were able to laugh again, you were able to smile, you were able to have good relationships. So that's one thing to remind yourself and to remember that everything ebbs and flows. So even though your shit is fucked up right now, it's going to change. Your circumstance is going to change. Change is the only constant in the universe. You already know. It's nature's favorite constant. Change is the one thing that always stays the same. Okay, so after you get over the acceptance and acknowledging that although shit ain't the way you want it to be right now, it will most surely, 100%, undoubtedly, indubitably come to an end. All right, that's the first thing. Second thing is ask yourself, how is this negative emotion, thought, feeling, circumstance motivating me to change it? That's the biggest one for me. I think that's the most useful part of it. Like, let's take this hypothetical situation of somebody sitting. You know the meme. We've all seen the meme where the dog is sitting at the table with his hat on. He's got his cup of coffee or whatever, and the entire room around him is burning. And in his mind, he's like, "This is fine." We've all seen that meme. So in that hypothetical situation, what do you think is motivating the dog to do what? Because clearly he's not running out of the room when after he's already noticed it's on fire. He's not motivated to leave the room. What is he motivated to do? Because he's just sitting there. He doesn't seem to be taking any actions at all. From simple inference, you could surmise from looking at that image that the dog may be motivated to get a new house after this one burns, or an apartment, whatever he's in. He may be motivated to make sure he had fire insurance. He may be motivated to drink his coffee more quicker and leave the house quicker to get on with his day, to do what he had to do. So I'm just using that simple hypothetical situation to help you remember that there's always something everything that pisses us off, every situation that makes us angry, mad, anxious, sad even. There's something on the other side of that that's pulling you towards it. And a lot of times I find like this is where we have an issue. Like when we see the solution to whatever problem we may be experiencing, we see how much time, energy, and effort it's going to take to manifest that solution effectively. And because of the time and like you see all the work that you're about to do, you say no, it's easier to stay mad, to stay anxious, to stay sad, whatever, in this moment. I'm just going to be fucking mad about it instead of focusing on what the solution is. So I forget what the character name is from this show called American Gods, but the shit went viral. It's Orlando Jones's monologue where he says basically, angry get shit done. And I played it so many times. I think it's even in one of my videos. I talk about it in my lives all the time, but it was that moving to me because it was in that moment hearing him say it that it really clicked for me. Is like whatever sadness may not get shit done in the way because sadness kind of makes you tired. You know what I'm saying? Like sadness is like, yo, I'm about to go take a nap. Nobody really goes. I mean, people do go to sleep angry, but for me personally, whenever I'm feeling angry, I'm ready to move. I'm ready to shake. I'm ready to punch somebody's lights out. You know what I mean? You already know. So that is the second thing. There. So let's recap. Let's review. Cover that shit all this shit that I was just yapping about. Is first acknowledging and accepting what you're feeling is valid. Two is reminding yourself what you're experiencing. Ask yourself how is it motivating you to change for a more beneficial thing. And then lastly, the last step is feeling excited for that space in which you now have to grow. I feel like where people get stagnant, where I won't even say people, where I get stagnant in life is after I've accepted and acknowledged and I've reminded myself what I need to do to get where I need to be. It's not always exciting. It's not always sexy. Like I'm looking at it like, damn, like that's gonna fucking suck. But if you can, and I always do, I find a way to get excited about it because I know it's gonna be challenging, and I like challenges. I'm one of those people who, if shit is too easy, it's kind of boring. You know what I'm saying? If it's always the same, like if it's always exactly how I expect and flowy, then it kind of gets boring. There's times in our lives where we prefer that, of course, when there's just so much going on. You need shit to go. the way that you expect. But there's so much power in the unknown. It's kind of scary, but there's a lot of power in it. And I think that's what makes us those type of people that we admire, who appear not to give a fuck about nothing, who appear to have like an a crazy level, a crazy amount of self confidence. Uh, Even the people who appear to have material things that we want. You know what I mean? They find a way to be excited about the unknown, and they find a way to be excited about the growth that they also know simultaneously is probably going to be painful. So, yep, that's my yap for today. See what the comments is talking about. Mrs. Clayton, you already know it's been a roller coaster. I'm sure it has. How's that Michaela doing? Put me on. Anasi, thank you, Lunar Light Priestess. Thank you for that. The character's name that did that monologue in American Gods, the character's name was Anasi. And homie was on. He was dead ass. I mean, I'm pretty sure he manifested as like a spiritual specter to slaves who were riding on the bottom of a slave ship who were thinking about rebelling. And yeah, think he first shows up as like a big ass spider, and then he like turns into a dude with like a tux on and like a 3-piece suit on, and yeah, one of the best monologues you will ever hear in your life. All right, Mr. A, have a good one. Sophie, what up? What's the fire? Moving back to GA? Yeah, that's part of it. Are you half black, half Jew? No. And black and Jewish are also not synonymous. Black is really like damn, I was about to say a skin tone, but it's not. It's more than a skin tone. It's a culture. Misnomered as being black. Cultures can't be colors. A color can be part of a culture, but cultures can't be colors. Also, yeah, Jewish is a religion. Black is not a religion. So maybe more thought into a question next time. Less fat now. Oh, yeah, blocked. Blocked. Clash Maxer, they did terrible. Prime cancels everything. It's a Burger King is hiring for janitor if you need a job. Okay, blocked. Bye bye. I actually am part Sicilian. I got like 1% Sicilian. Actually, pause. It's not Sicilian. It's another Mediterranean. Sardinia. There we go. I have like two. Is it Sardinia? Is that the way? Now I'm just noticing I've been eating sardines for the past the past like 2 3 months, and I wonder why they call them sardines and if it has anything to do with Sardinia, or is Sardinia not really a place and I'm just misunderstanding. Anyway, moving along. FOGG Keisha, what up? What up? Mr. Meow, what up? What up? Okay, a lot of mean people on people on the lives trying to be mean today, doing their best. Straight up blocked, mad people. Also, I thought when I had 13 likes, it was actually people. I'm just noticing that the little circle with the fake shoulders is actually the people who are here. The thumbs up is like, that's how you know I'm really not paying attention to none of that bullshit. All right, but that's my yap. I've been on here for 20 minutes. Anything y'all want to talk about? Any questions you have? Any burning pieces of experience you want to share? Any advice you need that I might be able to help you? Because you know I'm 40 now, so I know a few things. I know a few things. Any questions you have for me about me? We could do that. Let's open it up. I'm gonna give y'all a few minutes for that. I'm gonna make some ice. It's gonna actually be hard to make this ice with one hand. Here, you stay right there. I look like Michael Jackson. I'm gonna accept that. I will accept that. Hopefully it's not the Michael Jackson, the version of Michael Jackson whose nose kept falling off every 5 minutes. But yeah, I'll take that anyway. I'll take that anyway. This is my favorite ice tray because it has like these little rubber bottoms that help you squeeze out the ice when you need it. And I've been using a lot of ice lately. Oh, spilling water all over the floor there. And placing that in the freezer ever so gently. Good to go. Alright. How do I take my like back off? You know, it'd be really cool if you can't and you just got the fuck out. Before the plastic surgery, okay, I'll take that. Even though I don't know, I don't think I look like Mike before the plastic surgery. What's the update on getting your CDL? The update on getting the CDL is I start beginning of September. I actually went up there today to submit all my paperwork and shit, so they got to do background checks and motor vehicle records and all of that shit, which I'm sure is good, so it'll come back cool. Interesting, though, is that she asked me if I would be okay with submitting a hair sample type of a drug screen. Now, hair samples, from what I know, go back like 3 months, maybe like a year. And I had to politely decline off of that. And she said it's not really a big deal. She said there's one employer, which is the biggest employer, it's the most flexible employer as far as like going over the road or like staying local. That employer, they want the hair sample, but all the other ones just want like the regular P screen. She also said that I don't have to pay up front for anything besides the drug screen. I have to pay for the background check. And there was one other like small thing I had to pay for. All in all, it was like $250 to get started. So, not bad at all. I'll take it. I'll take it. That much closer. Wow, this person invented a whole new account. Multiple accounts. Wow, I'm getting attacked. For real, people got time today to just troll on the internet. Good shit, it don't bother me. I hope it don't bother y'all. Definitely not on here. I mean, when you got AI, it's easy to it's easy to see why shit like that happens. At least they're not hating on me for things that are true. You know what I'm saying? I think it's cool. that whenever you come across somebody who goes out of their way to be a dick, they have to make up shit in their mind, with just it just shows you who they are and the journey that they have to be on. Not that they have to be on. Well, they are on a journey, but you know what I mean. Like it just shows you where they are in life. Like I've never. Maybe when the internet first came out and I was like 12, you know, like 11, 12, 13, and we used to have the AOL chat rooms, I might have went into a chat room a couple of times on some belligerent shit. Never on some racial poking fun at just one person. You know, live streaming wasn't even a thing back then, but definitely was like everybody could suck my, you know what I mean? Like type of shit. Definitely did shit like that. Or I used to call in these chat rooms back in the day. Wow, this is definitely dating me. But there used to be numbers you could call up and be like in a chat room on the phone. One was called the Baltimore Raven. And I used to call that shit up. And the first thing I used to say, I did this shit for like months. It was so funny. I used to crack up every fucking time. I used to like get in as soon as I come in the chat room. I used to be like, "It smells." As soon as somebody started saying some shit or talking, I would be like, "That smells like a pile of bullshit." And then I would go into the next room and do it over and over again. But mind you, I'm a preteen, so you know people fart around you when you're 12 years old and you still giggle. So that's what we're just dealing with now in a new time. You know what I'm saying? Thank you, Lunar Light Priestess. Sienna was good. But yeah, man, that just shows you people got a lot of growing up to do. It also speaks to why this country is the way that it is, to why the world is the way it is because people never really grow up past 12, 13 years old. They just stay fucking preteen, adolescent brained. Retarded people. There's no other word to say it. Like, if you're retarded, you're retarded. What does retarded mean anyway? Like, I don't even know the actual definition. To me, it's just stupid. Like, unable to learn. That's what it means to me. I remember they tried to ban this word on the internet for a long time, and now it's resurfacing. There's even, it's called retard maxing. It's a culture. It's a whole entire culture now because people tried to ban the word, and now people try to fight against the word being banned. Which I was kind of one of those people. I don't think words need to be banned. Free speech is free speech. But it's just interesting to see how that turned out. So the definition of retarded is affected with impaired intellectual development. Yeah, exactly what I'm saying. Affected with impaired intellectual and development. Occurring or developing later than desired or expected. Delayed. Okay, yeah, we all know that one is like when something is, you know, late. Yeah, socially inappropriate or foolish. Yeah. I don't understand why people will have a problem with this word. It's a real word. It has real definitions. As far as it being a pejorative slur for one with a mental disability, yeah, I could see why you don't want that. Like if your kid is struggling with, you know, like a mental disease or even like a physical disease and therefore can't speak all the way correctly, can't understand things correctly or quickly, you don't want some person calling that person retarded. That's a pejorative. It's a slur, and you should be able to get punched in your face for doing that. But if something is actually, literally, and obviously retarded, there's no way you should be able to stop me from saying that. And I shouldn't be banned or like whatever the fuck they be doing to people on the internet these days. Cancel. There we go. Cancel is the word. I shouldn't be canceled because I called somebody who typed out NIGGR in the comment section, letter by letter. Because that is literally retarded. Yeah. The real spin cracks. This is a fun channel, not a trauma dump channel. Well, if you want to talk about how you and your girlfriend broke up, if it's a real thing and you're not just making shit up, then let's talk about it. I've been broken up with. I have some advice for that. Have I ever broken up with somebody? Yeah, I have. I actually have. Yeah. I've broken up with a few people. Breakups are fucking weird though, man. Like I would much rather I prefer dissolve, readjust, reevaluate. I prefer those words. Breaking up is fucking harsh. Breaking up is like, you fucked up. I don't want nothing to do with your bitch ass no more. I'm out of here. Go F yourself. Some shit like that. Like, that's what breakup to me means. But if it's a reevaluation, a readjustment, a dissolution, then yeah, I think that's cool. Maybe you can even still be friends. Maybe you politely decide not to be friends anymore. That's cool. But tell me what happened, man. Don't hang the carrot and just trying to be suspenseful. I should grow a beard to look like Volsena. I don't even know who that is. I don't even know who that is. It's definitely wrong and immoral and harmful to use the N-word slur. By the same logic, calling someone the N-word slur because they did some other unethical thing is also not okay. I hear you. M1000. But I'm sure you know. I'm not sure. No, you got it. It doesn't matter where you grew up or what part of the world you're in. You know, we use the N-word with a different ending as a term of endearment. Definitely a euphemism. But a lot of times it's a term of endearment, or it's another way to say friend or dude. It's widely used like that where I'm from. So I definitely agree with what you're saying and I hear what you're saying. But that's when they put the ER at the end of it. You know what I mean? When they put the ER on the end of it, oh yeah, it's definitely about to be a violent reaction. And harmful and wrong because it's referring to a characteristic that people can't change about themselves as an insult, which equates that being a bad thing. I hear that. I always thought the N word was. I mean, I'm sure there's so many different perspectives on the etymology of the N word, but for me, I always thought it just meant ignorant. If I'm not mistaken, there was an entry in Merriam-Webster's dictionary that I read when I was back in middle school, and it meant an ignorant person. They never mentioned this word is just for a certain demographic of people. They might have said something like often used against blacks in a certain, or African Americans is probably the term that they use in a certain time period. But yeah. I always also find it interesting the phonetic similarity between the word reneging, which you can't really find in a dictionary. I looked for it. But you know, like when you play spades and somebody cuts your suit, or they played a suit, or they should have played a suit, but they said they didn't have the suit, so they played off the suit. But then later on, they play that card or suit or whatever. That's a term called reneging, if I'm not mistaken. And every time we used to play spades and somebody reneged, I would call them a renegger. And it still cracks me up, as you can see. Mystic Mommy asks, what does a good co-parenting relationship look like to me? A good co-parenting relationship looks like two parents who are involved, obviously. Um, I think time and energy um, ideally would be equal. And I only say that because I am effectively co-parenting right now, although my children's mother might not agree. But yeah, regardless of what she thinks, it's definitely a co-parenting situation because I'm not absent from my children's lives outside of the fact that I'm not physically in their presence, but we speak to each other almost every day. If it was up to me, we would speak to each other every day. And also, I provide support for them. So that's, to me, that's effective co-parenting. Presence and support from both parents. And also, you probably want to add the ingredient of parenting being supportive to one another, like parents being supportive to each other's I- ideal way of parenting. I feel like if you have one parent who's trying to do things that the other parent does not support, um, in that in that particular instance, in that circumstance, that's not co-parenting. Do I have an example of this? I would, but I feel like it would cause trouble. So I'm gonna digress off of that. Is that a Bugle Boy I'm wearing? Why does Bugle Boy sound so familiar? I don't even know what it's like that. Was that a shirt? It sounds so familiar, but I don't remember. YouTube attention seeker. That projection is the wildest projection. That you get the projection adrenaline. You get the projection award of the day. Calling me a YouTube attention seeker when I'm literally on YouTube, which means anybody who makes a YouTube is attention seeking. But then you come in my shit and type out attention seeking, seeking attention. How retarded can you be? You can never get a male to answer that question. Well, I hope I answered it for you. I'm not running from that question. There's nothing that bothers me about that question. Lil Queen, respect, mad respect and love. You already know. Yepper, yes. I like that. Yepper, yes. That's a good one. How do I feel about homeschooling? Homeschooling is dope. That was always my original intention was to homeschool my children. But it's a lot deeper than that now that I actually have children and have sent my oldest daughter to public school, which is something that I never really wanted to do because of indoctrination, because of the nefarious things that go on in public schools, because of the programming of a young mind to be a worker or just general cog in this capitalist consumerist system that we exist in America. Yeah, also saw the benefits to sending your kids to school. For one, you get time to yourself. When you send your child to school, they're effectively being babysat, if you will, for free. Even though, like, in the preschool era, you got to kind of come out of pocket for that. Some kindergartens, you got to pay. If you go to private school, you got to pay whatever. But public school, yeah, it definitely has its pros and its cons, especially speaking on the pro side of things, like when you think of socializing. Um, I've read and heard a lot of things that have spoken about the necessity of young children needing social interaction with other children, and they say it's not really that deep. However, I kind of disagree. I can definitely clearly remember um, how much socialization opened my eldest daughter up to all of the behaviors and characteristics that she didn't necessarily knew existed from just observing her parents, her immediate family, neighbors, shit like that. When she goes to school, she gets to learn from her peers, her classmates. She gets to, experience all these different adults. And so, yeah, that was beautiful to see her kind of blossom in that way. But yeah, homeschooling is dope because you get to teach curriculum the way that you want to teach it. You get to teach them truths that you think are important for people to know. You get more time with your children, which I think is super important. If it were left up to me, I would be with my children all day long. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, homeschooling is dope. The cons of homeschooling, which I feel like maybe people romanticize it a lot, but they don't talk enough about the downside of homeschool. The lack of socialization, the lack of consistency, the the susceptibility of of what am I trying to say here? Because I already said consistency, but it kind of branches off of consistency in the way where if whoever is facilitating homeschool doesn't feel like facilitating homeschool, homeschool won't be had or facilitated. And therefore, you break consistency, which I think you break routine. And routines and consistency are like of peak importance to young people. And I wholeheartedly believe in that. So shout out to all the people who are homeschooling. I'm sure you can testify to the pros and cons of both. What do you think about homeschooling? Who was that? Yep or yes? Thank you. I feel like it should be just like that, and disagreement should not be handled in front of the kids. Oh, that's a fact. That's obvious. Some people don't know how to do that though. Also, what some people don't know how to do in front of the kids is uh, be a quality human being. Be about the shit that you say. You know what I'm saying? Like if you talk about something, be about it. Because one thing kids are super observant, super absorbative. You know what I mean? So if your kid sees you talking about do as I say, not as I do, oh, you're setting yourself up for some fucking problems. Um, and just, bad behavior. To which I also digress because I'll leave it at that. I don't want to hear it. By the way, my name is Julian. I'm white and I live in Manchester. Okay. What's up, Julian from Manchester? You didn't want to hear the advice about breaking up with your girlfriend? I homeschool. Okay, but it's a lot. It's for the best. My 7-year-old daughter came home talking about she had a boyfriend and I took her out that day. Wow. I hear that, Mystic Mommy. Do what you gotta do. But unsolicited comment slash advice is all the things that you try to shield your daughter from, she are probably going to magnetize her more. I think it's a natural behavior for humans to go for the unknown. The shit that I was talking about earlier, how the unknown, there's so much growth in the unknown. If I remember this being back when I was a young bull, a child, if the thing that my parent told me not to do didn't cause immediate harm or some type of immediate undesired effect, and if I thought that doing the thing that my parent told me not to do was actually going to be fun and pleasurable and joyful in some type of a way, as soon as they wasn't looking, I was at whatever that thing was neck. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sure you know that, Mystic Mommy. I ain't got to tell you. But just be mindful, you know what I'm saying? The day that Aura the day that Aura tells me that she hasn't a boyfriend, I'm not gonna be like, baby, you're too young to have a boyfriend. I cannot tell her that. You know why I cannot tell her that? Because I had a fucking girlfriend in kindergarten. Kissed, went to the kindergarten square dance and all that shit together. I still remember her name, Tina Vasquez. Shout out to Tina Louise Vasquez, wherever she's at. So yeah, when Aura tells me that, I'm not gonna try to dissuade her from having boyfriends. In fact, I'm going to try to be enthusiastic about it. I'm gonna, she's already asked me about my first girlfriend. She know who Tina Louise is. She actually asked me that last time I was with her. She was like, "Who's your first girlfriend? Do you remember her?" I was like, "Yeah." But also, it's gonna be a great time for us to talk about relationships, the difference between being a first grader in a relationship, or whatever grade she decides to actually have a boyfriend, the difference between being an elementary school kid with a boyfriend, or girlfriend if she so chooses, to being an adult with a boyfriend and a girlfriend, like telling her the differences, which we all know she already know. You know what I'm saying? She might not have the language to articulate the difference or the desire to actually have a grown-up conversation about the difference, but she knows. I guarantee you she knows. So that's going to be my approach, and hopefully it facilitates a space where she'll feel safe to come to me with that type of information. I feel like you got to take that into account as well. Like, your kid come to you with anything that you're not going to necessarily be enthusiastic about. If you react in a way that's trying to dissuade them, or even worse, villainize them for whatever it is, you're cutting your relationship, the bandwidth of your relationship with your children off. You know what I'm saying? So you got this, mommy mystic mommy. All the people who are writing stupid ass comments, I just want to take the time to thank you. To thank you for the engagement. YouTube is seeing that although I have a small following, I still get hella engagement on my live videos. So, and that again is me circling back to the very first point that I made in this video, when I decided to name this video Mad Annoying, which is probably another reason why there's so many trolls coming through, because they see Mad Annoying and they're like, that's the place for me. But yeah, I could be getting like mad about people saying dumb shit in my comments, but I'm just like, oh, thank you for the engagement. You see how I did that? Turn that shit right around. Yapper says, I think it's possible, but I think in order to do it, one must be qualified themselves. Early childhood education is a science. Okay, I'm gonna ride with you on this, Yapper. I'm gonna ride with you on that. The only thing I will add to what you said is when we start talking about people being qualified. You wanna, well, I'm not even gonna go into the etymology of the word qualified, but what I will say is when it comes to children and the education of children, the word qualified becomes a slippery slope. When it comes to the education of any individual, the word qualified is a slippery slope because education is really the perspective should be turned into the one who is being educated in the sense that there's something to learn from everything. So if we're talking about curriculum, like school curriculum, history, science, math, you know what I'm saying? Gym. Yeah, you want somebody who's qualified in a sense where like you could take for granted or they have a higher probability of imparting some information categorized as math, science, English, history, gym, whatever, whatever. And they can pass on that information in a way where you know that the probability is high that the kid will absorb the information, retain the information, and possibly even be able to repeat it on some standardized fucking multiple choice scantron at some point. But in the same breath, I'm not gonna say but. I try not to use the word but. And in the same breath, um, I feel like anybody is qualified to teach. Hopefully they have their shit together. Like you don't want any Joe Schmo crackhead talking about, okay, here's the lesson for today. Of course not. But that doesn't mean that you can't take any Joe Schmo crackhead off the street and stand them up or around the child under your supervision. And this is hypothetical, by the way. This is not part of the point. The point is a child can learn from anybody. Even if it's not the thing that the anybody is trying to convey to them, a child can just look at them, hear the way that they're speaking, and gather information. You know what I mean? I know you know what I mean. And people go to school for a very long time just to learn how to teach. Being a parent that has to pay bills and run a house and teach kids is a lot of stress and can make learning harder for kids. That's a fact. Amen. I testify to that. I testify to that. And what I will say is some people, unfortunately, might be homeschooling their children out of pure hubris for themselves. Out of pure, let me put this on the internet. Let me make a 30 to 60-second Instagram reel on my children being homeschooled so I get the validation from the internet, but I'm not effectively teaching my kids anything. I'm not effectively facilitating a time span of a couple of hours or more where they're strictly focused on one, maybe two subjects. So yeah, I'm definitely with you on that one, Yepper. Yes, it's teaching um, requires some education on how to teach. You know what I'm saying? It requires dedication because I guarantee you, even teachers who go to school aren't necessarily excited about it every single day, especially public school teachers. So, yeah, good comment, Yepper. Yes. Sophie says, "Amen. I was sheltered my whole life due to religious cult upbringing that instilled a lot of fear without teaching. It be happening, especially when them religious people." When them religious people get a hold of that education and they start wanting to, if it was up to the church to educate children, we would all believe that Earth is 1,600 years old or some shit like that. Or, no, what, 3,500 years old, according to the good book? You know what I'm saying? Whatever. We would still believe that the Earth was the center of the universe left up to the church. I like the idea of homeschooling, but with a group of other kids and an outside tutor who shares the parents' values. Sorry, that was on. No, you good. You good. This is the type of conversation that I'm trying to facilitate here. The idea of homeschooling with a group of other kids and an outside tutor is dope. I definitely think that's a great way to go about it. Ideally, no any kid who's being homeschooled is not being homeschooled with just them and or their siblings. Ideally, they're being homeschooled with a variety of children from a variety of backgrounds. Um, because as we know, with a variety of backgrounds come a variety of perspectives. And children's biggest shit is absorption. So when you expose them to these different things, they have a more realistic view of the bandwidth of humanity. When I was in kindergarten, my boyfriend and I just shared markers and school supplies and called it a relationship. Facts. Yep, that's how it starts. Do I feel bipolar at times? Only in the sense that shout out to you, Sly Cooper, PS2, for asking the question. If I feel bipolar at times, it's only because I feel like I have that much bandwidth of thought. That, and also, every thought, every consideration, every action word that I speak, I can simultaneously entertain the opposite of that. So, truth or untruth, helpful or unhelpful. Um, what else? Could this be disrespectful? Even though I'm saying it respectfully, like that type of shit. Like, in that sense, very bipolar. But bipolar in the sense where you can't really trust my mental state or my emotional state because it could be this way one minute and this way the next minute. No, I'm pretty consistent as far as like who I am and the way I act and what I do. If that answers your question. And Gila was good. Do I have a desk? I'm actually sitting you on my dining room table, if this can be considered a dining room. Smart Savvy was good. Peace to you, love. How you? How's life? Little Leaf says, he bets I don't take care of my kids. Well, now you're banned for making that stupid ass bet. One thing I don't do is play about my children. Smart Savvy, yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You be do you substitute teach? I forgot what teaching you be doing down there. Ricardo Santiago says, fuck no, gotta wake up every day to deal with someone else's kids. Cannot be easy. That's a fact. It's definitely a fact. Especially if they just dropping off the kids and they not gonna stand there to rein they fucking kids in. Ha! My G. I mean, I'm good for that, you know what I'm saying? Because I know how to contract with people. If I'm homeschooling, I'm definitely contracting with the parents. Like, okay, what is green for disciplinary action for you? You know what I'm saying? What is red for disciplinary action for you? You know, go as far as what is green for rewards with you. Some parents don't want their fucking children to get a piece of candy every time they answer a fucking question right. Some people don't want their kids to be exposed to unicorn stickers. They don't like the rainbows. You know what I mean? Mystic Mommy says, I didn't demonize the boyfriend. I didn't demonize the BF just to her out. The consistent thing is true, and that's why I brought a video curriculum. I had her in dance, and she went straight to socialize with the only two boys there. Oh, now I see what you're saying. I had to take that whole thing in. I have to take that in, cause I can already put myself in your position, Mystic Mommy. Granted, there are hardly any boys in any of the extracurricular activities that Aura does now because she's 6. Or even though when she was cheerleading, there was boys all around, and I would hear boys on the football team that she used to cheer for talk about other girls' butts, and I thought that was very fucking interesting. But I am lucky enough that Aura doesn't have that much interaction with other boys, even though there is one boy her age who attends her homeschool, and it is concerning. It would definitely be more concerning to me if I saw Aura constantly gravitating to the boys. Like that would have to be a conversation. A conversation as far as like, hey, I noticed that instead of going to your friend Darley to say hi, you went straight to fucking Josh, hypothetical dude, and you gave him a big hug. You and Josh best friends now? Like, what's going on there? And that's how I would like seek out my answers. But yeah, it's gonna be a moment for me when I see or start to gravitate towards boys, if she ever does. I'm like kind of crossing my fingers she's a lesbian, but that's just the way I feel right now. Just being an overprotective dad. Smart Savvy says I'm a big supporter of public education. Me too, man. Not so much of the type of information or the brand of information. Speaking of that, I just heard that McGraw Hill, the company that is responsible for printing up the textbooks. Oh, I can't remember the fucking dude's name. Was it Larry Ellison? But basically, the dude who owns that company has owned it for years and years and years. He's a Zionist, and that goes to speak to why they make such a big deal out of the Holocaust. And when they talk about slavery, it's always it's a smaller impact, and they also don't necessarily demonize colonizers. They always just make it seem like that was the best economic system that they can come up with at the time. So that little tidbit right there is a reason why I don't really fuck with public school. But also, I do like it for the very same reason. This is the bipolar shit that I was talking about earlier, being able to entertain both sides of the coin at the same time. I do like that because when Aura goes to school, hypothetically, public school, and she learns about shit like that, me being the invested parent that I am, ask her about her day or review, like if she gets homework and her homework is to read this chapter on the Holocaust, I'm right there over her shoulder reading it with her, like, oh, yep, that was actually scurvy, right? Like, you know what I'm saying? Or like, it's funny how they always give you this 6 million. Oh wow, I'm about to get my channel banned. How could I sum that up without getting into details? It's just cool to be able to expose or to public school type of information, her come home to her private domicile and be enlightened onto why they're teaching that thing that way in public school, and here is what we believe at home. This is what data. Yeah, I'm not even. This is what data has learned in my 40 years of experience. What actually happened in that situation, and so that's why it's pretty fucking cool for her to be able to because I didn't have that as a kid. Like when I was reading shit from McGraw Hill and all the textbooks and shit like that, I was like, oh, I was taking it verbatim as fact. I was taking, oh, Christopher Columbus discovered America? Wow. Like, you know what I'm saying? I was taking that as fact, not Christopher Columbus being found lost at sea, which we all learned later on. You know what I'm saying? They don't never teach you that the Spaniards and the Europeans, the Dutch, you know what I'm saying, that came here and colonized this country, well, this portion of the country, were also committing a genocide. They don't teach you that in public school. So knowing what I know, I did kind of look forward to Aura learning the status quo information and then coming back to me, talking about it with me, and then learning the third eye information. You know what I mean? But also, I love and support and give a lot of kudos to all public school teachers because y'all very underpaid, and you don't, you know what I'm saying? Public school kids, they don't have a choice. The difference between public school and university is like that's the first time kids actually make a choice to go to school. They want to be there. When you deal with public school, elementary, middle, high school, 9 times out of 10 they don't even want to be there. So they're gonna make your life difficult. So shout out to you, Smart Savvy, as always. You already know. Everybody likes the Charybdis. Did I write it? Did I say that right? Charybdis? I feel like I'm saying it wrong. Cerebus? Yeah. It is a great shirt. That's why I like. That's why I got it. Miss Jones, what up? Thank you, Luna Light Priestess. You co-teach second grade. Oh, that's what's up. I loved having two teachers. I had that. I still remember. I don't remember her name. Oh, damn. But when I was in fifth grade, I had the biggest crush on my teacher's aide, my teacher's assistant. You know, like the college kids that come help your teacher and shit. Oh my god. Yo, my grades went through the roof. I was on time every day. Didn't have to struggle to yo. Woo! One day I might have a son, and I cannot wait to see when that switch gets turned on for him. And he's like, what? Women? For me, that switch got turned on early because my mom passed away when I was 3, so I was always trying to fill that void. But yeah, man. Yo. Teacher's assistants, yes. Mrs. Clayton says, we had some complications with her mastectomy, but she is cancer free. Woo! From breast cancer, but now her lymph nodes are metastasizing. Oh, yeah. I mean, the body's going to try to balance out the best it can. But y'all got this. Y'all in front of it. It's good news. Good news. Daniel Phillips, I'm good. How are you? Prayers definitely are up, Mrs. Clayton. Sophie asks, my question is, if I had a young son and he gravitates towards the girls around, is that also as much of a concern? Possibly. Definitely not going to hold no double standard on that, Sophie. Definitely not. Definitely not. There is no double standard. I mean, maybe there's a slight lean of grace towards boys gravitating with girls as opposed to girls gravitating to boys for the simple reason that maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like boys tend to use their physical stature, their, you know, boys have more proclivity to be touchy, as opposed to girls, maybe not so much. Maybe not so much, and that's why I give a little bit more grace to, like, if a boy wants to gravitate towards girls, you want to see what he's gravitating towards the girls for. You know what I mean? Because sometimes, me personally, speaking from my experience, like I said, my mom passed when I was 3, so I was always trying to fill that void. I was gravitating towards girls and women in my sense because I love female energy. So that's why I gravitated towards girls. Plus, girls always had like the cool shit. They always had all the markers, the full pencil cases, the sharpeners. You know what I'm saying? They just had all the things. They're the only ones who showed up with like the protractors and the fucking what's the thing called? A compass. You know, with the little pin on one side and the pencil on the other side, and it makes purple perfect circles. They were always had all that shit. So whenever I had whenever I needed something, I could almost always count on a girl to have it. To where a boy left his whole book bag in the crib. You know what I'm saying? Me, but uh, why would a girl ever gravitate towards boys? I'm not really sure. I don't. I'm pretty sure I will find out. But I never, I wasn't a girl to know. Wasn't really like in the inner circles of girls to know why. Nor did I ever see a singular girl always in a pack of boys. Unless you do have tomboys. That's definitely an exception. Like girls who love to be physically active and play sports and also have a fucking chip on their shoulder because they probably have older brothers at home who don't let them participate. So when they go to school and they get around the boys who are in their grade, they're like, yo, I will run faster than you. I will do more push ups than you. I will do all these things better than you because I'm keeping up with my older brothers and you guys are just small fries. So I know that was a long-winded answer to your question, Sophie, but yeah, I try not to have double standards. Um, I wouldn't be so concerned about a son if I had one and him gravitating towards girls because I feel like that switch may or may not turn on before the girls switch does. Like I do recall boys thinking that girls had cuties and were weird or whatever. I was never one of them. Zig and Zag, what up? Larry Ellison is with. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You already know. Zig and Zag is telling me to shh. I don't know what this shh is about. Oh, okay. Now I think I know what was going on here. This is when I was talking about Israel. Morgan Freeman voice. What up? Nato, Nato. What's good? Lil Wayne, you're not gonna get me. You tried to get me. I'm gonna let you rock with that one, but that's the last one. Marilyn Clinton says, my advice about dating is don't let your teens date the same person. If they don't know diversity, they will never learn what they want in a relationship. Girls think they are so in love with the first. Yep. Yep. That's also another reason why I'm kind of like enthusiastic about Aura if she ever does, wanting to have a boyfriend. You're definitely not about to be going on no extracurricular after school dates and all of that shit until like, until I feel like she's ready. But yeah, if she wants to befriend a boy in a fashion that is closer than other boys, then yeah, I might encourage it a little bit just so she can really study the opposite sex and see what that shit is all about. Sophie says maybe they don't have a father male figure. Oh, that's yeah. Perfect sense was for me. I didn't have a mother. What's the opposite of male? I'm drawing a blank. Female. There we go. A mother female figure, and that's why I was drawn to the girl so much. So yeah, you hit the nail on the head, Sophie. So basically, you're a lesbian. Are you a lunar light priestess? Tomboy all the way. Yes, I have four brothers. See, Smart Savvy, you already know. Palantir Drones. What a fucking username. Holy shit, that's scary. Oh, Palantir is like one of the scariest things on this planet right now. Palantir is like synonymous with the boogeyman. Like for real, for real. Wow, we are already at an hour 15. I'm not going to hold you guys too much longer. These have all been very good conversations. I appreciate you all for jumping in and keeping me company, keeping my head yapped. Okay. Shout out to all the trolls who showed up today with very trolling things to say, increasing the engagement. Maybe one of you who found this video and are actually enjoying it found it because YouTube suggested it to you because I was getting so much trolls. So, yeah, shout out to you if you're rewatching this and you didn't catch the live. Big up to you. Miss Jones said, stay till 8. What time is it? 7:50. All right, I got another 10 minutes of yapping me. Just for you, Mrs. Jones, because you're a real one and you've been rocking with me forever and ever and ever. I will oblige. Pray for protection, love, and your hair looks good. God bless it. Thank you, Reg Senior, Regs R. Appreciate that. That's the second compliment I got on my hair today, which is very big to me. It is. Because I'm growing a fucking reverse yarmulke on the top of my head, son. I'm not even going to show it to you. Thank God I got what I got, and I can kind of like zhuzh it up to where you won't notice it. But fam, I got to get one of them red light helmets. I got to get one of them fucking micro needles. Something. Shout out to my bestie, Luna Light Priestess. She just sent me something in the mail because she know I'll be going through it. If you have any home remedies, any herbs, any particular diets that will help one who is experiencing a little issue with the thinning hair, send them my way. You know, YouTube got private messages. We can DM each other now, so do that. You know what I mean? But even though it is kind of stressful to experience aging in the way that I am, I'm also very, very, very accepting of the shit. Like, I often look at myself in the mirror for minutes at a time and try to envision my completely bald head and what I would look like. And I don't know. I hope I don't have one of those heads because I've never really seen it. Like, you know, I've seen my hair with like a Caesar. I don't think I have one of those heads that kind of just like blows up here. So I should be good with that. Like, I don't have the Jimmy Neutron. You know what I'm saying? I do have a forehead, but then I'll have an infinite forehead. Like, it'll go all the way back down my back. Yeah, all good though. Miss Jones, you got the I already know. I know castor oil, peppermint, and what's the other one? Rosemary. Those are like really good. I have been using that, and I feel like even though I haven't seen an explosion of hair, it's helping me shed less. Even though I fucking shed a lot. I don't know if that's normal. Like, every time I do my hair in the morning, I look at my hands and there's fucking mad little ringlets on my hands and shit. And then I gotta wipe it off with paper towel because you can't send it down the drain. You send it down the drain, your shit don't drain like it's supposed to. Then you gotta pour fucking Drano down the drain. I hate. Yo, the fact that we have drinkable water on this planet is somewhat of a miracle to me. Because I think about all the shit that I've poured down a fucking drain in my lifetime, especially Drano, bleach, whatever the fuck, pine sol, whatever the fuck, Fabuloso, all that shit. It goes right down to the drain. It goes into the water supply, and somehow I trust the water that comes out of the fucking tap still. That said, when I do wash my hair, I buy gallons of spring water, which fucking it kind of sucks because the water stays super cold. You would think a gallon of water that you keep in your house is gonna be room temperature? No, that shit is freezing. And I be in the shower with a gallon of water wetting my hair, do, because I refuse to fucking wash my hair with the calcified shit that comes out of the tap these days. And I feel like that also is helping. So I hope that gives you something to rock with, Mrs. Jones. Also look into red light therapy and microneedling. Yeah. Ayurvedic powders help me. Which Ayurvedic powders, Sophie? Don't be a gatekeeper. Thank you, Lunar Light Priestess. I'm not worrying. I know cortisol is the biggest, probably the biggest fucking cause of hair loss next to diet. My husband said he's going to just embrace shaving it off rather than hold on. Yeah, you really got to accept it like that. My shit is this shit right here on the side and right here in the very front thick as hell. It's as thick as it ever was since I was a teenager. People always used to compliment me. Oh my God, you got so much hair. It's so thick, so big, blah, 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 blah. So the fact now that I'm getting the fucking, the sakatri on the crown of my head, it hurts. And also another reason why I kind of don't want to go bald, because I'm like, if I go bald, that's a whole nother fucking thing I gotta shave every 3 to 4 days. This on my face is enough to shave. To have to shave my whole ass head, I don't want to do that. I don't wanna. I don't got time. I got way better things to do. But shout out to Mr. Clayton. He's an inspiration to men everywhere, holding it down for 25 plus years since high school. You say he's the only one that you ever wanted, so I know he's got to be that NIGGA. And he raised LSD, possibly one of the most biggest musical underground artists to exist in the world right now. I should put that into a clip and send it to him. Oh yeah, how was that concert the other day? Did you go? Did he have it already, or is it still sometime in the future? Oh yeah, and if you're new here and you don't know who I'm talking about, when I mention LSD is this guy named Love Song Desmond, who is Mrs. Clayton's son, who makes hip hop music, and it's quite nice. It's quite good. So check that out. I'm pretty sure he's on every streaming platform. John Madden, I'm gonna let that rock because it was funny. My man said chugging chodes. You're gonna try Nutrafol. I'm this close to getting Nutrafol. The only reason I don't have Nutrafol yet is because that shit is hella expensive. That shit is like $300 for like a 3 month supply. I'm like, what? And they gonna hit you with that. Oh, you gotta use it for at least 4 or 5 months before you see any. Ain't nobody trying to do all of that. Maybe when I make more money. Batania oil for hair. Yep. It's funny. When I started going through this shit with my hair, I bought some Batania oil and I was like, let me send this to my daughter because she would have probably appreciate this a lot. Like she loves getting her hair done and she often talks about the difference between her fine hair and like other girls' thick long hair. So I'm like, babe, use this Batania oil. It should be long in no time and it'll be way thicker than you've ever had it before. This girl used it one time, said she hates the smell. I spent like $60 on that fucking jar. And who knows what's going on with it now. I don't even know if her mom even, hopefully her mom uses it. Like, put it on Lumi at least. Lumi ain't gonna have no, Lumi don't even have the vocabulary to express dislike right now. She go with everything. Shribani, what's up? Marhaba. Somebody said gold chain, give me. It was amazing. He opened. Yeah. Okay, you talking about the concert. Pink first says hi. I'm a trans girl. Okay, what's up, pink girl? I mean, pink fur? Yes, that's why I don't have it either. It's so expensive. Lunar Light Priestess says, you want mine? I got you. What you mean mine? Hmm? We got 1 more minute till 8. So I'm going to just go ahead and say this prayer. Thank you all for joining me again. And while I say the prayer, you can all think about any last comments that you have before I get up out of here. Oh, Botania oil. Is it the real Botania though, from like Honduras or Costa Rica or wherever it comes from? I heard you gotta get it from like the indigenous women, or else it's a boof. It's a knockoff. To the one of us who is many, we come to you in total awareness. Please grant my friends peace, progress, prosperity, patience, pleasure, and panacea in this eternal present. And like Alaken, Ashe Aho Amen. Alright, that's what I got. Come see me, come see me. What song is that? Come and see me. Come. I think that's Trey song. No, not Trey songs. Definitely not Trey songs because I don't listen to Trey songs. It's Tory Lanez, maybe. He got a banger called "Come and See Me." Have a great evening, Smart Savvy. Good night, everybody. Peace, Mrs. Clayton. Miss Jones. Who else? Who else joined and made it known that they were here? That I know. I think that was it. It was just us four, really. But if you are here and you know that I know you, you just wanted to be cool. Oh, shout out to Sophie. Sophie was interactive tonight. Who else? Who else? Oh, who was I talking? Mystic Mommy. Shout out to you for coming through and having the good conversation. Yep. And everybody else was in here. Hopefully, I'll see you on the next one. Feel free to, write down some questions or message me your question if you have any for next time, and we'll talk about it. All right?